I only have to get the plants through one night. Well, that's most likely the case. Here in Texas, often at the beginning of winter, we get a cold night. We're expecting it to get down to 32 degrees or so, but it's only going to be that cold for a couple hours. We do need to protect the plants from that chill, from that frost. Most likely next week it'll warm back up. Getting stuff into the greenhouse sort of forced me to organize the greenhouse, clean it up a little bit. I already moved in some of the plants. You can see here my baby lemon trees, the moringa trees, and some of the other plants here, a couple of tomato plants, some elderberry, and just a few of the things that were easy enough to carry in. I'm going to go into the garden and see if there's anything else I can carry in, and then I'm going to cover some things up. With one cold night, I might lose some fig leaves, but I'm not really concerned about the fig trees dying, so I'm not going to bother with moving them in. I might go ahead and take some lemons off the tree here. A lot of these other trees and things I can just leave out. I should have already trimmed the peppers, but I'll probably just throw a blanket over those. And actually most of this out here, I'm not terribly concerned about it. I can't do a whole lot about my tomatoes. What I can take care of are bunching up the potato plants so I can cover them up. See, if I just take these potatoes here, the bags, and just bunch them all together so the root mass, the soil is all together to help keep each other warm, then I can throw one blanket over all of them. Potatoes actually like cool weather, but their leaves don't want to frost. They don't want to actually freeze. I forgot about this one sweet potato plant that I was trying to start a new plant. It's pretty pathetic looking, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in the greenhouse just in case we can save it. I'm just taking these wire cages and laying them on top of the potato plants. That way when I throw the blanket over it, it'll support the blanket and I won't be crushing the leaves. I always have bricks laying around in the garden because I prop things up and hold things down, and it's perfect when I want to hold the edge of a blanket down in the wintertime. You guys up north, you know that when winter comes, you just got to shut it down, let winter do its thing, and then springtime comes around and you start over. But here in Texas, it's too tempting to want to keep going all winter long, and sometimes in some winters we can actually do that. We just got to get the sensitive plants through 1 or 2 nights, and then we can continue on for another few weeks or a month. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Occasionally the cold hangs on for too long, too many nights in a row, and you just got to give it up. But this time I think it's only going to last tonight. My wife's getting ready to travel. I'm going to take some of this kaya and cut it up. You might be surprised where that ends up. She's going to take some of these cuttings to a special friend, and hopefully I can keep it a secret and you'll find out where they end up later. I think 2 ought to do it. I'm going to take these kaya cuttings here, I'm going to put them down into these little fabric pots. I'm going to fill them up with seed mix first. Seed starting mix. Stick these right down in here, like that. You got a little bit of soil, a little bit of seed mix, and I'm going to set these down in a bucket of water to soak up some water. You'd think you'd be safe from the ducks making a bunch of noise in the greenhouse, but they know I'm in here. I'll probably put a rubber band around that or something and hope that that travels well, and hopefully it reaches its destination and can be planted to give another farm, a familiar farm to most of you, a healthy green to eat. Let's see what else I can save from the wintry chill. I think I can get the blackberry cuttings and maybe a couple of these other pots. Hold on. I'm gonna leave these sweet potatoes out here. I'm just gonna come out tomorrow or the day after and harvest those sweet potatoes. I don't think I need to take them in the greenhouse. Things like the carrots and the onions, they love this cold weather and they're not gonna be too bothered by a couple hours of 32 degrees. It is possible that I could lose a tomato plant or they'll die back and maybe rebound. I could be at the end of my tomato season. I really was hoping to get a little more out of these tomato plants that I planted recently. We save what we can, and what we don't, well, that's just winter. Springtime will come around and it'll be a whole new garden. We'll bring some of the aloe in too, just to... I'm bringing this aloe in because it has a flower. It's not very often that the greenhouse is going to offer a few degrees protection. It's going to be a few degrees warmer in there than it is outside, and being inside all closed up, it's going to also protect it from the wind. Covering the plants with blankets offers maybe 1 or 2 degrees and also some wind protection. If you have sheets or blankets or pillowcases that you're done with because they just aren't going to serve those purposes anymore, save them for your garden. If you need some, go to the thrift store and see if you can find some cheap sheets or blankets or pillowcases. In the last video, you got to see what I was doing with some of these lemons. Now that those experiments have worked out, I've already done them and they worked for me, at least some of them did. I'm going to give you a proper video on how to utilize these lemons. I got my lemons, I got my kaya. I'm gonna get all this ready. I'm gonna get warm. The ducks are quiet because they got fed and put away. Sometimes it's peaceful out here. Thank you so much for enjoying this time with me here in the garden. I hope you guys all are staying safe and warm. Keep your plants warm, keep your gardens growing, and keep learning and growing yourself. Thanks again. I'll talk to you soon.